Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. Who should be the closer for the Dodgers next season? Will LA re-sign Kenley Jansen? We got lots to get into about the Dodgers bullpen in just a second. But quick reminder for all the latest Dodgers news and rumors, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. It really helps out the channel. And as always, some of your takes down below in the comment section. Today's Dodgers Nation question of the day. Who do you think should be the Dodgers closer in 2022? And also, should LA re-sign Kenley Jansen? Let me know down below. And for all the latest Dodgers news, head over to DodgersNation.com. So today we're going to talk about the Dodgers arm barn or the Dodgers bullpen, whatever you want to call it. I still call it the bullpen, but the arm barn is kind of fun. But then we're going to also throw out some grades for Kenley Jansen and Blake Treinen for their 2021 seasons. We're going to discuss who should be the closer of the Dodgers in 2022. Should LA go to closer by committee? Should they go to Blake Treinen? Maybe Bruce Dart Gratterall? How about Tommy Kenley? There's some other names that could get the job done. But we have to start with Kenley Jansen because that's the biggest domino in this conversation. Because if the Dodgers don't re-sign Kenley Jansen, they will have to find a new closer. And yes, most likely that will come internally. But should the Dodgers re-sign Kenley Jansen? Should they move on from him? How much should they pay him? Well, first and foremost, there's a lot of talk out there that he was talking with the Miami Marlins before the lockout began. And you've also seen him linked to the Boston Red Sox, the Toronto Blue Jays, the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, how much will Kenley Jansen command? Me, I'd be comfortable paying him $11-12 million for a couple years, but there's also a lot of talk that he wants that third year. So would you be willing to give him a contract in the ballpark of 3 years, $35-40 million? Because that's probably what it's going to take. He turned 34 back in September. He's the Dodgers all-time saves leader with 350 saves. He had 38 saves last season. He's one of just 3 relievers in the history of Major League Baseball to record 1,000 strikeouts with the same team. The other 2 being Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman. So he is a legacy player. He really is an iconic Dodger player when you really think about it. The fact that he will remain the Dodgers saves leader probably from now until the end of time, but you don't pay guys for what they've done. You pay them for what they can do for you. And I think what Kenley Jansen proved last season, that he can and did reinvent himself. You look at his numbers last year, he threw that cutter 58% of the time in 2021. From 2011 to 2019, he threw his cutter 83.8% of the time. You know, I call it the bread and cutter, but you're seeing the use of that slider, of that two-seam fastball. He has diversified that pitch mix, and that's what you want to see. You saw that sinker last year. He threw it 26.6% of the time. Opponents hit 147 off him. He threw that slide piece 15.4% of the time. Opponents hit .093 off it. His 2.22 ERA was his lowest since 2017. He had a 30.9 K percentage. That was good for 29th in Major League Baseball. Now, the big concern with Kenley Jansen is that command. Last season, he had a 12.9 walk percentage. That was his worst since 2010. He also got booed off the mound at Dodger Stadium. He had those 3 consecutive blown saves following the All-Star break. He probably was a little upset that he didn't make the team, but then he turned it around. Since getting booed off the mound at Chavez Ravine on July 22nd, he posted a 1.01 ERA with 54 strikeouts to 10 walks, went 17 for 17 in save opportunities and 35 and 2/3 innings pitched. He was lights out in the postseason, had a 0 ERA, and he really put himself in a great position to sign a nice deal. Now, he did take a tiny discount when he signed that 5-year, $80 million contract. There were some reports that he got bigger offers out there, but he did stay with the Dodgers because he did want to win. Well, will that impact him now? Because you know he's really due for one more really nice payday. And if the Dodgers go to him and say, hey, 2 years, $20 million, there's going to be bigger offers out there. So I think if you're Kenley Jansen, it just comes down to, can the Dodgers make a competitive offer that's close to what these other teams are offering? Let's say the Miami Marlins getting in that 3 years, $30+ million range. Will the Dodgers come close to that? I think it's possible, but I also think if you're LA, you're not going to break the bank on Kenley Jansen. But if he does come back, I'm totally fine with him being the Dodgers closer. Yes, he is a headache at times. Yes, I call it the California adventure, but I also admire the reinvention, the evolution that he's undergone as Dodgers closer, and I also think he likes that role, right? He likes getting the saves. Look, the save number, the save statistic has led to more bad managerial decisions in the last 30, 40 plus years than pretty much any statistic, because look, people have fallen victim to this stat, and in my opinion, I am in favor. I'm a big proponent of the closer by committee. You want to play the matchups, but if the Dodgers are going to go the traditional route, I'd be totally fine with having Kenley Jansen back as Dodgers closer. Now, as far as his grade for the 2021 season, I'm going to give him a B+. Really B+, a little outside that elite territory. He was definitely elite following 722 after he got booed off the mound, but he did have some command issues leading up to that. He did have those blown saves. He was outstanding in the postseason, so a very high B+, could almost give an A-, but when you look at his F4, had a 1.8 F4, that was 12 in Major League Baseball. To me, elite is top 5, so to me, he was a baller. There's no question about it. Now, next, we're going to talk about Blake Treinen. So you guys want to see Blake Treinen as the Dodgers closer. 45.8% of you said that Blake Treinen should be the Dodgers closer in 2022. Now, the issue I have with that is that Blake Treinen, he was the Dodgers' clear-cut best reliever last year from start to finish. And you don't want to throw your best reliever out there for the final 3 outs. Why? Because your best reliever, you should be able to throw him in there in high-leverage situations, and that can be in the 5th inning, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th inning. You never know when that's going to be, and also you want to have him face the meat of that order. If you just have him always coming out there for those final 3 outs, I don't think you're going to get the most from Blake Treinen. And if you look at his numbers last year, he posted a 1.99 ERA, had 7 saves in 72 1/3 innings pitched, had 85 punch-outs, 25 walks, had a 2.88 FIP, a .982 WHIP, had a 2.06 ERA plus, had a 1.8 F4, and you also saw him evolve last season because he was really good in 2020, but he was great in 2021, and a lot of that was he diversified that pitch mix as far as the usage goes. In 2020, he threw that sinker 55.8% of the time. In 2021, he lowered that number to 27.4% of the time. He also went with more slider. He threw his slide piece 26.3% of the time in 2020. In 2021, he threw it at a 35.1% clip. But the biggest jump was throwing that cutter more often. He threw his cutter 8.8% of the time in 2020, and he threw it 30% of the time in 2021. A very effective pitch for him. Opponents hit just a $174 off it, and you combine that with that slider, those were his 2 money pitches. Against his slider, opponents hit just .074. It's so filthy. It moves more than a military family. He does engage in pitch craft, but if you look at that 2-seam fastball, the one that averages 97.4 miles per hour, opponents hit 316 off it. So you saw the difference was throwing that less and throwing the cutter and the slider more. It was effective for Blake Treinen, and if he can replicate that success in 2022, I think you still keep him as your top high leverage reliever. To me, I'm a big proponent of closer by committee. You don't want to tie a guy like Blake Treinen down to just the 9th inning. And yes, I totally understand the argument that closing is a mindset. You have to go out there and get those final 3 outs. Those are the hardest outs to get in the game. And to me, I think that's just completely bogus, because how can you tell me that the 3 hardest outs come with no runners on base in a clean inning? I think the toughest outs come in the toughest situations, when you have runners on base, when you're facing the meat of the lineup, when you have the big hitters at the plate on deck, and when you keep Blake Treinen for those situations, then you can truly get the most out of him. So to me, when it comes to who will be the Dodgers closer next year, I hope they do it by committee. I hope they use this as an opportunity to evolve as an organization, and to me, that doesn't make very much sense when you consider the fact that this Dodgers organization is very steeped in analytics, in advanced analytics, and playing the matchups. So I think they might use this as an opportunity to really start a new chapter with how they're going to use their bullpen pieces. And that also might be another factor in Kenley Jansen's decision, because we know he has 350 career saves. He wants to get as many as he can because he knows that that is his legacy, that if he has any chance of making the Hall of Fame, he wants to stack those saves, and it's going to be used to evaluate his career. So maybe if you're Kenley Jansen, Jansen and the Dodgers tell Kenley, hey, we're going to try this new approach where some nights we use Blake Treinen or Alex Vesia or Brusdar Graterol or Tommy Kenley, the list goes on, or Daniel Hudson, who they just signed this offseason. Maybe we're going to mix it up. Maybe Kenley Jansen says, hey, I'm more comfortable as a traditional closer, and I want to get those saves and that money, so maybe Kenley won't want to come back. But as far as Blake Treinen goes, look, in 2018, he was one of the best closers in Major League Baseball for the A's, so we know he can get it done, but I want to see closer by committee. Now, as far as his grade for the 2021 season, I'm going to give him a B+. A super baller, very close to being elite. Remember, elite is top 5. I don't think he was top 5 last year. At a 2.08 ERA in the postseason, gave up that hit, took the loss in Game 1 of the NLCS, but very close, and I think he's going to be a big part of the Dodgers bullpen, of course, in 2022. But let me know down below in the comment section, who do you think should be the Dodgers closer in 2022, and should LA re-sign Kenley Jansen? Let me know down below. My name is D-Mac. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. For all latest Dodgers news and rumors, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and if you want to see us post even more Dodgers content, smash that like button. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.